Well, welcome everybody. It's yeah, it's a bunch of music. There's that.
Yes, indeed, Joe. Are you there, Joe? We've had a bit of a Skype problem here, I think, Joe.
I
Let me reset Skype. We'll call back, folks. Stand by. We will be right there. I'm coming, folks. I'm just connecting the network now. I know. It's amateur hour here. There we go. We are live on the Freedom Link. And now what I need to do is I need to bring in the actual host of the show, Joe Joseph. He will be coming to us momentarily. Yes, here he comes. Oh, he's making a grand entrance. There he is. Joe Joseph.
holy. What
Joe,
the heck happened?
I've no idea, my good friend, but we're there. We're live now. How you doing, man?
That's good. I'm doing all right, man.
Good man.
I'm never liking these moments on Skype where it just acts so bizarrely. But anyway, folks, Kevin and I hanging out tonight, and there's some stuff to talk about that's very, very interesting, I might say. In that, did you know, Kev, that there is a satellite launch tonight?
Oh, I did not know.
Yes. So apparently, space weather is becoming more and more of a interest to NASA and to governments around the world because of all of the weather anomalies and climate change and all the kind of stuff that really kind of affects the weather. And I think science at its core knows that it's not cow farts. But this satellite has a history to it. Apparently, it's been a long time coming to launch this thing. I mean, like over 2 years delayed because of a lot of bad luck, believe it or not.
Oh,
And
was the
yeah,
universe trying to put obstacles in its way?
yeah, I'd almost be afraid to launch it. I'll be honest with you, because of what's happened to it in its lifespan already. It says NASA's ready to launch its space weather measuring satellite tonight, following 2 years of delays. The Ionospheric Connection Explorer, or ICON, will measure the highest region of the atmosphere where Earth's weather interacts with space weather. Initially scheduled to go up Wednesday, it's now set to launch Thursday from a Pegasus XL rocket dropped from a modified L-1011 carrier plane over the Atlantic Ocean at 9:30 tonight Eastern Time. You can watch the live feed actually on the NASA YouTube channel. Now, ICON will launch with 4 instruments on board: one for measuring wind speeds and temperatures, one for measuring the motion of ions, and 2 ultraviolet cameras for observing light from excited ions in the upper atmosphere.
And
Radio
Planet X.
and Planet X. Let's not forget Planet
But
X.
this is really interesting because, unbeknown to you, this
Yeah.
follows on precisely, perfectly from what I was talking about with my guest, Danny. We were
Is
talking
that
about,
right?
yeah, the energies that are coming in, not just locally from our own star, but from the center of the galaxy as well.
Right.
And the amount we do know, Joe, versus the big amount that we don't know. Although most people won't admit that we don't know very little, but that's the fact. So it's
No,
interesting that we're
no.
seeing new equipment going up to look at these kind of things.
Well, let's not forget that they built the those interferometers in Louisiana and Washington to detect gravitational waves.
Yes, they came up in the previous show as well, and I've got a good way around this, right? Without offending Nobel Prize winners,
Right. Yes.
let's
Yes.
just agree that these most precisely tuned instruments in the whole universe that we know of, they definitely picked up on a wave of something. Okay, if you want to call it gravity, that's cool. If you want to call it some unknown particles, some unknown force,
Just
some
call it energy.
a wave came in, Joe. We picked
Yeah.
up a wave. We got
Yeah.
hit by something. We can
Right.
definitely all agree on that.
But I guess I mean, if in my humble opinion, if it causes the machine to react, it has to be energy in some way, shape, or form. That's why, it's like you could get vanilla and just call it energy. And then it doesn't because, I mean, would gravity not be energy?
It's got
I'm just asking.
momentum. If it's got momentum and stuff like that, if it's got the ability to push, then does that make it energy? Can you unlock the energy within gravity? Does it even exist, Joe?
I don't
Isn't
know.
energy everywhere? Aren't we energy
Yeah,
vibrating at a lower, slower state? You know?
absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, it could have measured energy as far as I'm concerned. Now, so it's got these four instruments and it's going to be looking at that basically that relationship between space weather and then the ionospheric weather that and the way the ionosphere reacts to that incoming space weather. It's going to be the most direct measurements of the effects that Earth weather has on the upper ionosphere. So, not only is it going to measure the incoming space weather, but it's also going to measure the way the weather down low affects the ionosphere up high. Ruth Lieberman, a icon project scientist at NASA, told Gizmodo, Earth weather forecasting is a highly developed discipline, but having a better understanding of how much space weather is linked to Earth weather, I hope that we can improve the predictability of space weather. Now, this is a long delayed mission. Here it goes. This is the bad part. The satellite was initially slated to launch on Pegasus XL rocket in 2017, but concern after the rocket was mishandled in its shipping, followed by mission managers wanting to reassess it, pushed it back to 2018.
It wasn't somebody in the family of the girl who loves the plane that was taking, like, handling the rocket, was it? I don't.
Probably
Not
so.
somebody with
Probably.
object philia again, was it? Did they get in the way of a rocket launch?
I sure hope not. Now, it says further issues relating to the instruments returning anomalous noise delayed the rocket another 11 months while Northrop Grumman tested it and corrected issues. Then yesterday's launch was called off due to weather conditions. So tonight, there's a 70% chance it'll go forward.
That's a
And
30% chance it won't.
it won't, but not only that, I mean, let's be real here. This satellite has fought tooth and nail not to get launched. And I just
I think the Anunnaki sent somebody here to scupper this because on another timeline, this is the device that starts to see Planet X. So the Anunnaki have come and they've changed it.
you think so,
Yeah,
huh?
somebody mishandled the rocket for a start. Watch for
The,
something bizarre happening today, and if that's then our theory is holding good, dude.
the heck with these deep space telescopes and everything else, I
Oh, come on,
the,
that James Webb telescope that they're putting up there, dude. That is an engineering feat. It's absolutely, it's beyond words what they've done with that. And I tell you,
yeah.
there's so much could go wrong when they're launching it, strapping it to a firework to blast it out of the atmosphere, right? But not only that, but the unfolding of these solar panels in space, Joe. Imagine everything that could go wrong there, you
Oh,
know?
absolutely. That's what makes that whole idea or concept of a space elevator so much more appealing because, now you can bring stuff up. You can bring it up cheap and you can bring it up a lot more gentle than, strapping it to a bottle rocket and
Yep.
off it goes. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it's certainly one of the more inefficient ways to get things up there. Um, I don't know. What do you think the feasibility is of a space elevator?
To be honest, never really looked into it, Joe.
I mean, we
I
got
haven't.
carbon nanotubes now,
Yeah,
so you could
yeah,
feasibly make a cable strong enough to do it,
yep.
you know?
Why not?
I just don't understand why we always go to that classic rocket type of idea instead of exploring
Ooh,
these
ooh,
other
ooh,
options.
caveman. Ooh, ooh, fire.
But
Oh, big explosion. That's why we
mm,
do it, dude. We're very
I,
primitive, you know.
there's a kind of a machismo to rocket
We
launching.
can fire a bullet up a gnat's asshole, you know,
That's right.
because it's a bullet. but
That's right, but because it's a bullet, it's okay.
don't
You're
ask us to
absolutely
like
right.
feed people and solve problems, dude. Come on.
No, so So you got that, right? And then I guess, according to CNN, former NASA scientists say they found life on Mars in the 70s.
Yep. This is
Yeah.
what Dr. David Warmflash, I asked him about this NASA scientist who said there's going to be an announcement, but people can't handle it. And he says, Kev, in reality, those NASA missions, the Viking, those landers, they already discovered this a long time ago.
Yeah. It says here Gilbert V. Levin was the principal investigator on NASA's experiment that sent Viking landers to Mars in 1976. Published an article in Scientific American Journal last Thursday arguing the experiment's positive results were proof of life on the red planet. The experiment, called Labeled Release, was designed to test Martian soil for organic matter. It seemed we had answered that ultimate question, Levin wrote in the article. In the experiment, the Viking probes placed nutrients in Mars soil samples. If life were present, it would consume the food and leave gaseous traces of its metabolism, which radioactive monitors would then detect. To make sure it was a biological reaction, the test was repeated after cooking the soil, which would prove lethal to known life. If there was a measurable reaction in the first and not in the second sample, that would suggest biological forces at work, and that's exactly what happened, according to Levin. However, other experiments failed to find any organic material, and NASA couldn't duplicate the results in their laboratory. So they dismissed the positive results as false positives, some unknown chemical reaction rather than proof of extraterrestrial life. Levin said in his article, NASA concluded that the LR had found a substance mimicking life, but not life. Inexplicably, over 43 years since Viking, none of NASA's subsequent Mars landers has carried a life detection instrument to follow up on these exciting results. Think about that for a second. How many landers have they sent? And they did nothing? They did no soil
Joe,
analysis?
the latest lander that they've sent, the InSight rover, days after the guy said we're about to come out with something really big, we're on the verge of it, a story came out that somebody messed up somewhere, right? Because they've got so far down with the InSight rover's like drilling mechanism, and now it's just bouncing off whatever it's hitting. Now, my conspiratorial mind is thinking that the drill's fine. They're just trying to kind of do damage control with the guy that said, by the way, big announcement coming. So now if we say the rover's not getting down far enough, we can kind of backtrack on that. But again, yeah, how many rovers have we got up there? It must be like Wacky Racers or Mario Kart up there by now, right?
But I mean, not even the basic sensors needed to figure out if life exists. I mean,
That's what we're told.
not that I even give a rat's ass about it, because I mean, there's so many better things that we could be doing with our time and resources than trying to figure out if molecular life exists on Mars.
Do you think they're maybe just having the most expensive and elaborate ever game of Robo Wars ever?
Could be.
Could be, yeah. They're just all sitting there in mission control fighting with the various rovers that have been up there.
Could be, or they could be. It could be the robot wars in Nova Scotia, and it may not be Mars at all.
Oh, dude, listen, you know me, I'm a big proponent of space being real, the Earth's a globe, right? Space missions, I believe they happen, but at the same time, I'm not naive, and I've definitely seen the horizon, the landscape from, like you say, Nova Scotia, wherever it is, they go testing things, and it's blatantly the one that you see in a Martian picture as well. Yeah. So I'm with you there, dude. I see the shenanigans.
I'm not saying that they don't, but at the same time, it's like, oh boy, it makes it really hard considering how many times the government has told us the truth, which you can count on your hands and have fingers left over, one hand and have fingers left over. And the fact that they would know that there's life on Mars yet not say anything, especially if it's just microbial life. Who gives a rat's ass about microbial life?
But Joe, I think it's the thing though, where if we've got microbial life on the next planet to us in our very own local star system, the solar system here, then if we're finding life one planet out, then all of a sudden we have to go from that theory that there's nothing much out there, if anything at all, to, well, statistically, maybe it could be everywhere in various forms, from bacteria to fully synthetic AI Borg communities. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's just my feeling on why they're not keen to do it. In reality, it's a non-problem because I don't think people are going to lose their crap over this, Joe.
No one's going to care.
Yeah.
That's my point. No one gives a crap about that. Now if they found green men or intelligent life, I'm sure that
Blue
there would
chickens.
probably be even that. I'm sure that you would have some sort of more enthusiasm. But for microbial life, who gives a rat's ass? No one does.
Exactly.
No one absolutely does. And the fact that even on the Mars lander that's not even launched yet, the 2020 Mars lander, that's not going to contain a life detection test. So Levin writes, he says, in keeping with well-established scientific protocol, I believe an effort should be made to put life detection experiments on the next Mars mission, um, and it should be made possible. He proposed that the LR experiment be repeated on Mars with certain amendments and then have its data studied by a panel of experts. Such an objective jury might conclude, as I did, that Viking LR did find life. Now, NASA's Mars 2020 rover is set to launch next summer and land February 2021. It carries an instrument that will help search for past signs of life on Mars. The scanning habitable environments with Raman, and luminescence.
Rahman. Is that not a Lady Gaga song?
I thought it was. No, it's a noodle, dude. And so it's going to have Raman and luminescence for organics and chemical
Was
instruments
that
or
luminescence or Illuminati?
Illuminati essence.
Sorry.
The rover will look at for past habitable environments, find biosignatures in rock, and will test those samples back on Earth. But if scientists fail to find evidence of life, that won't end a hope for human exploration. Mars 2020 will also test oxygen production on the planet and monitor Martian weather to evaluate how potential human colonies could fare on Mars.
And I mean, remember, even that red hue that we see to the sky, that's not even real, they say. But
No.
that's just kind of added at the like after touching process of publishing the photos. Probably looks whole lot more Earth-like, Joe, albeit barren, but a whole lot more Earth-like than probably is comfortable.
That's my point. That's probably why they do that. Because if it looked too much like Earth, everybody would come out and say, what the hell? Or
if it looks like it's habitable and it smells like it's habitable, guess what?
It must be habitable.
Yep. The Mars Defense Force is real. See, I told you, Joe. Captain K was on it, man.
Well, little green men and flying saucers could inevitably come from Mars. But you can also find a flying saucer coming out of China.
Oh, indeed you can, yes.
In 2020, according to the Global Times of China. That's right. They are reporting that the Chinese military now has a flying saucer-like attack helicopter to take to the sky in 2020. It's going to be showcased at an air show. Of course, it's going to be like a military-like type of thing.
Dude, it looks like a stud of a giant's shirt. You wouldn't get me in that for love nor money. No way.
It looks like a hovercraft more than anything else, don't you think? I mean, do you actually see that thing flying?
It looks like, you see the thing you play air hockey with? Like the puck?
Yes, the puck.
Very much like the puck in air hockey, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got a new member. We've got a new member coming in here, I think, in a moment.
Very nice.
We're going to hear, I think we'll hear Homer. Hopefully. There he is. Big shout out to Anthony Dilbert. 10 more members needed.
10 more to go. This is good stuff. So
Joe, my question to you is, should we fear the Chinese coming and they're flying air hockey pucks?
It could be like incognito. Oh, crazy Americans. They love air hockey.
Air hockey and chow mein.
If we make it look like hockey puck, maybe they won't get mad. Okay. It's sound logic to me. This is the super great white shark attack helicopter. Ooh, I like it.
Nice name.
The sci-fi-like aircraft is on display at the 5th China Helicopter Exposition in Tianjin, which runs from Thursday to Sunday. Says the 7.6-meter long, 2.85-meter wide helicopter features a blended wing design, which makes it seem as though the aircraft itself is a wide ring with its cockpit fixed in the center. According to the information board at the exposition, inside the ring, there's a coaxial rotor system with a diameter of 4.9 meters that will provide the vertical lift. On top, on two opposite sides of the ring, both parallel to the direction the cockpit's facing, there are two turbojet engines that can provide huge horizontal thrust for high speed movement. Now, two pilots can fit in the cockpit and can steer the direction of the aircraft by controlling a set of rudders located underneath the rotor system. The rudders also work with the rotor system to provide a small horizontal thrust for low speed movement. The helicopter has a maximum takeoff weight of 6,000 kilograms at top speed of 650 kilometers per hour, about 400 miles an hour, and a ceiling of about 6,000 meters or 20,000 feet. It can climb at a rate of 16.5 meters a second, according to the information board, which also said that its fuselage is coated with stealth materials. Now, the Super Great White Shark, of course, is a high speed helicopter designed for future digitalized warfare, according to the board. Attracted by the future design of the aircraft, Chinese military observers pointed out the aircraft's high speed and stealth capabilities could give the weapon an edge on the battlefield. Other questioned the helicopter, saying it could be unstable and might not be able to fly safely. Now, folks, if you remember back around World War II or so, the United States had messed around with these um, flying saucer like things in the past. Matter of fact, I think there's even some leaked footage of Area 51, and that kind of stuff. So it certainly is out there, but one thing is for sure, it doesn't have a good track record of success. These flying saucer like helicopters. Now, the Chinese may have licked it. I don't know. Hopefully, this is one of those things that they stole, like intellectual property, but we forgot to destroy it before we figured out it was a bad
It
idea.
looks like one of the engine parts from a Boeing. And I'm not saying that because I have like relations with a Boeing, but if you tip that up, it looks like the engine, I don't know. I don't know. I don't hold much hope for this. I think this is like blatant, like propaganda. This isn't what they've got at all.
Well, they say a scale prototype of the aircraft will make its maiden flight at the 2020 edition of Air Show China.
Yeah, Joe. Nah, Joe. This is where like you get the whole kind of portal opening up, and something returns from its first deep space mission, and it's like I don't know, an X-wing fighter. I don't know, something like that.
Now, see, that would be kind of cool.
Well, cool. That's an air show.
That's an air show for you.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely right. Let's see. What else do we got in the grab bag? Well, we got a break coming up.
We have, dude. We have.
Yes. I will say that that the Chinese have definitely taken a special interest in all that is science. I mean, they've definitely poured a lot of resources into into AI, into quantum computing, quantum encryption, quantum communication.
Yeah, and all of it's been used to control over 1 billion Chinese people.
And well, might I add.
Oh, yes.
And so, I mean, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about AI. As Science Alert has a piece, AI could be a powerful force for good, but we're currently headed down a darker path.
And Joe, something else I've been noticing talk picking up of gradually, but now it's really picking up momentum is the full internet ID system, like things like that. You know, building up the hype, making people cry out for some solution to these problems that won't be tackled by an internet ID system. But it's coming, folks. That is very, very close indeed. Vaccines, your child will have one of these from birth, and if they don't have the right ticks on its ID card when they put it into the system, you're not playing Jilly Johnny, not going to school. Probably a good thing, but this is the way the world's going, Joe.
And along with Internet ID, of course, our government is making a full court press to stop the Facebooks, the Twitters, and other social media from implementing end-to-end encryption.
Or is it just,
And
or is it just a charade?
oh, of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about that when we return after the break. And I'll tell you what, it is just exciting times here in the United States, and of course in the UK, and all over the world. We'll be right back. Don't go away. You're listening to the Freedom Link on your protection from deception, tfrlive.com. We'll be right back.
There we go.
Very good. Very
Just
good.
like that, we were live on YouTube.
Still going, still going.
You like how I managed to get us from one streaming to a new stream in like 180 seconds?
Very nice. You got that thing down.
And if it
pat,
wasn't
man.
for
Get it
Skype,
done.
we would have been right in there, dude. Skype let us down. Microsoft, get a grip of yourselves. If you spent less
There's
time
wrong with
listening
it.
to us and more time helping us, like doing up the app, things would be so much greater.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, by the way, while we're waiting for TFR to come back, there's this article on the Sun, Doomsday Preppers.
Dun, dun, dun.
A poor man and 6 adult children were freed from their basement after 9 years spending waiting for the end of times.
Holy shimoly.
The mother of all black pills until one finally escaped from the rural farm. Yeah, and it's not why you think. This is a man. The man kept his 6 children confined to a hidden cellar at the family's remote farm for 9 years, waiting for the end of time. The children were only discovered when the eldest son walked into a nearby cafe bar in the town of Rural World in Drenthe, Netherlands, and told of his ordeal. Owner Chris Westerbeek described how a man came in, ordered 5 beers, and downed them quickly. Then I had a chat with him, and he revealed he had run away and needed help. Then we called the police.
I love it. That's brilliant, right? Before he gets help for the family, I'm having 5 beers. Yes.
He had long hair, a dirty beard, wore old clothes, and looked confused. He said he'd never been to school and hadn't been to the barber for 9 years.
Damn.
Yeah, he said he had brothers and sisters who lived at the farm. He said he was the oldest and wanted to end the way they were living. The siblings, aged 18 to 25, apparently had no contact with the outside world, and they were waiting for the end of the world. As far as I know, their mother died before they arrived here, said Mayor Roger de Groot. Police found makeshift living quarters where the family was living in hiding. Some of the children were convinced that they're the only humans on the earth.
Whoa, dude, this is like, you see, this is what happens when you've got an Uncle Joseph Fritzl in the family.
Yeah, yeah. So what happened? Well, the siblings and their father, who had reportedly was bedridden after a stroke, are now receiving treatment at an undisclosed location. Cops went in to the farmhouse and found a secret flight of stairs in the sitting room hidden behind a cupboard, which led to the cellar. Uh-oh.
Damn, dude. Who
Yeah.
knew, eh?
Yeah. So ongoing investigation, and police are trying to support the family right now. And people that live nearby said the farm has always been surrounded by high fences, so no one ever thought to, go ask or look. So
Dude, that's
Yeah.
great. That's
9
wild,
years.
man.
how do you like that? That is wild as right.
Imagine it. Well, if you've got, you see, your first taste of the world is going to be this back crap crazy version of it. You're not going to know any difference, right? But imagine like the older ones who knew the world before. You take 9 years out of time and you come back now. Things are going to look really weird, Joe. Like, as in really
Dude.
weird.
Weird. Because, think about it. 9 years, dude.
Lots changed in 9 years, Joe.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
And a lot more is going to change again. Here we go. Here we go. 3, 2. That's some banging music you got there, Mr. Joseph.
Well,
Yeah, your music. Yeah. Hang on a minute. Hang on. This is the guy that makes fun of my music at the weekend. I definitely pick up a little techno porno kind of genre going on there, Mr. Joe.
Oh, at a minimum, at a minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes.
So AI, right? It could be a powerful force for good, as you always are the optimist.
Yes, I
And
am.
I typically take the black pill route. So we're going down the dark path. Well, Science Alert has a great piece on this, and who better to discuss it with than the AI Grandmaster of Death, Kev Baker. So it says artificial intelligence is already reconfiguring the world in conspicuous ways. Data drives our global digital ecosystem, and AI technologies reveal patterns in data. Smartphones and smart homes and smart cities influence how we live and interact, and AI systems are increasingly involved in recruitment decisions, medical diagnoses, and judicial verdicts. Really? When did you ever hear of them being in judicial verdicts, Kev?
Very much in the American system, Joe. Things like that. Things where it's very much things like traffic fine offence, you get something. Second offence, you get something. But this was also where a story turned up where it was starting to return some of the biases that had been present in the legal system over the years.
Oh, man.
So it was giving heavier fines to African Americans than, say, your average Joe Blogs. And that's why.
I remember this now in
Yes.
California. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
how it came to my attention. But it's getting used more and more. Recruitment, very much so as well. But the same problems have been experienced. Companies get woke and they think, oh, well, the best way to be all inclusive and get rid of these pesky stereotypes and prejudice, we'll just go to the AI, yeah? And the AI says, yeah, I can do that for you. Let me look at how things have gone in the past. And, oh, they act surprised when it is very sexist and very prejudiced. It can only become what it learns from, Joe.
That's true. Absolutely. It says the potential risk of AI are enumerated repeatedly. Killer robots and mass unemployment, of course, are common concerns, while some people even fear human extinction. More optimistic predictions claim that AI will add $15 trillion to the world economy by 2030 and eventually lead us to some kind of social nirvana. But we certainly need to consider the impact that such technologies are having on our societies. One important concern is that AI systems reinforce existing social biases to a damaging effect. Several notorious examples of this phenomenon have received widespread attention. State of the art automated machine translation systems, which produce sexist outputs. Really? And of course, image recognition systems, which classify black people as gorillas.
Yep.
But this is the
And Joe,
what
there was a
he's
story in the UK the other day, the AI that was used in the passport system, they knew that it had problems when it came to people of color. It
yeah.
could not recognize them. It basically said, you all look the same.
But not only that, it's coming from total innocence if you think about it,
Oh,
because
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it has no built-in prejudices outside of what it learns in the machine learning
It's like
process.
a child watching a parent.
Very much
It
so.
will only pick up the traits that it sees the parent displaying, you know?
Right. And these problems arise because such systems use mathematical models, such as neural networks, to identify patterns in large sets of training data. If that data is badly skewed in various ways, then it inherits biases. And that'll inevitably be learned and reproduced by the trained systems. Biased autonomous technologies are problematic since they can potentially marginalize groups such as women, ethnic minorities, or the elderly, thereby compounding existing social imbalances. And if AI systems are trained on police arrest data, for example, then um, any conscious or unconscious biases manifest in the existing pattern of arrests would be replicated by predictive policing AI systems trained on that data. So, recognizing the serious implications of this, various authoritative organizations have recently advised that all AI systems should be trained on unbiased data. Ethical guidelines published earlier in 2019 by European Commission offered the following recommendation. When data is gathered, it may contain socially constructed biases, inaccuracies, errors, and mistakes. This needs to be addressed prior to training with any given data set.
This is
So that's
so hard. This is so hard because an example, Joe, right?
yeah,
You know, they look back and they look at the training and they realize that, for example, more white men have been getting a particular job type than black women have been considered for that job. Now, on the face of it, that does sound as if there's a bit of sexism, a bit of racism going on there. But then you'd have to be really careful because perhaps, just perhaps, when you look at the qualifications of these people, maybe the exact same people that were the most qualified for the job did get them. Maybe there wasn't any kind of bias or prejudice involved. Sometimes, you know, Joe, just the best person gets the job. And over time, when you look back historically, it might appear like there was some shenanigans going on. But in reality, you know, people were just given the job to who was best qualified. And I'm not saying that there isn't sexism and there isn't prejudices, Joe, but you get me, right?
I get you 100%. And it all sounds sensible. But unfortunately, it's something and sometimes simply impossible to ensure that data sets are unbiased. A concrete example should clarify this, and they give an example here. It says all state of the art machine translation systems, such as Google Translate, are trained on sentence pairs. An English French system uses data that associates English sentences, she is tall, with the equivalent French sentences, elle est grande. There may be 500 million such pairings in any given data set, training data set, and therefore 1 billion separate sentences in total. All gender related biases would need to be removed from a data set of this kind if we wanted to prevent the resulting system from producing sexist outputs, such as the following. The women started the meeting. They worked efficiently. And the output, of course, is Les femmes ont commencé la réunion. Ils ont travaillé that. So it says the French translation was generated using Google Translate on October 11th, and it is incorrect. Ils is the masculine plural subject pronoun in French. And it appears here, despite the context indicating clearly that women are being referred to.
Oh, that pesky AI.
That pesky AI's got toxic
It's
masculinity.
got a beard and everything.
Yeah, it's a classic example of the masculine default being preferred by the automated system due to biases in the training data. In general, 70% of the gendered pronouns in translation data sets are masculine, while 30% are feminine. That's wrong. This is because the text used for such purposes tend to refer to men more than women. So to prevent translation systems replicating these existing biases, specific sentence pairs would have to be removed from the data so that the masculine and feminine pronouns occurred 50-50 on both the English and the French sides.
Because you wouldn't want to get your pronouns wrong, Joe.
Yes, you can't get your pronouns wrong. This would prevent the system assigning higher probabilities to masculine pronouns. Yes, because we can't have that.
Even the AI must be thinking, seriously?
Yeah, that's right. And nouns and adjectives, Kev, they would have to be balanced 50-50 too, of course, since these can indicate gender in both languages, like actor, actress is neuf and neuve, and so on. But this drastic downsampling would necessarily reduce the available training data considerably, thereby decreasing the quality of the translations produced. And even if the resulting data subset was entirely gender balanced, it would still be skewed in all sorts of other ways, such as ethnicity or age. So, in truth, it would be a lot more difficult to remove all the biases completely because you're always going to have something there.
But is there really something wrong with the algorithm, or is it more something wrong with the people that get annoyed at this? Can we just, these little kind of nuances here and there, can we just forgive it? It's the AI after all, Joe.
I know. It says here if one person devoted just 5 seconds to reading each of the 1 billion sentences in the training data, it would take 159 years to check them all. And that's assuming a willingness to work all day and night without lunch breaks.
And the AI does it.
That's right. So what's the alternative? And it says it's unrealistic to require all training data sets to be unbiased before AI systems are built. Such high-level requirements usually assume that AI denotes a homogeneous cluster of mathematical models and algorithmic approaches. So in reality, different AI tasks require very different types of systems. And downplaying the full extent of this diversity disguises the real problems posed by profoundly skewed training data. And this is regrettable since it means that other solutions to the data bias problem are neglected. So the biases in a trained machine translation system can be substantially reduced if the system is adapted after it's been trained on the larger, inevitably biased data set. So what are they saying? Teach it some more after it learns the data set, you know? And look at, well, let's for example, look at China, right? China's got its ever-encompassing AI, but that's for a specific purpose. And then you have translation AI. That's a specific purpose. All these algorithms are built, would you say, for specific purposes, Kev?
Yeah, that's what you call them. You call them weak, call them narrow, specific AI.
Right, because it's not general intelligence.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it can't do that. It can't do it. It's very, very good. It's the best in the universe at whatever it's trained on, be it facial recognition. It can recognize between cats and dogs, etc. But you can't get that one then, that very same algorithm, to go and translate what you're saying instantaneously. You know, that's another algorithm, another machine learning neural network that's responsible for that. Yeah. It's when you've got one that is able to do all of it, Joe, or maybe a master one that can control all the specific ones that you have that.
Yeah.
General.
And Forbes asked that very question. How far are we from artificial general intelligence? It says these days let me send you the link, Kev, because this is just one of those articles that kind of
well, Joe, I think a good example is Geordie Rose and the fact that they took Sanctuary AI, they put it kind of private again. They took all their kind of literature down, not because there's something wrong, but because they're so far away from having the finished product. And he said it was like something like 10% of the way, almost like Göbekli Tepe. We've uncovered 10%. Just at the very start of this journey. And that's according to one guy.
A lot farther ahead of the technology. Yeah. It says these days when you browse the internet for news on artificial intelligence, you'll find out about new AI that just managed to do something humans do, but far better. Present-day AI can detect cancers better than human doctors, build better AI algorithms than human developers, and beat the world champions at games like chess and Go. Instances like these may lead us to believe that perhaps there's not a whole lot that artificial intelligence can't do better than us. But the realization of AI's superior and ever-improving capabilities in different fields has evoked both hope and caution for the global tech community, as well as the general public. So while many believe the rise of artificial general intelligence can massively benefit humanity by raising our standard of living and status as a civilization, some believe it may be a development that leads to global doom. So what is the state of artificial intelligence? So the internet abounds with stories of stunning applications, culminating from years of AI research. Similar to the aforementioned example of AI systems that can diagnose cancers with greater efficiencies than doctors, there are many other fields where specialized AI is replicating human-like reason and cognition. For instance, deep learning algorithms used by social media sites are becoming increasingly adept at recognizing objects, people, and even detailed characteristics of these objects and people. Modern computer vision technology, driven by deep learning, can now identify people and images posted to social media, the position of the person in the image, their expressions, and any accessories they might be wearing. This gives AI systems the ability to perceive images similar to the way humans do. These systems can can go beyond simply identifying people from images and even analyze subtle patterns to discern non-obvious attributes. One example is Stanford University's study that showed how deep neural networks can identify people's sexual orientation just by analyzing their faces, an ability that is highly unlikely to be present in humans. Another instance of AI performing human-like feats is the natural language processing, where AI can understand speech or text delivered in natural language. AI is becoming proficient in understanding the meaning of text and speech as part of applications such as chatbots and virtual assistants in smartphones, and advancements in the natural language.
Just like this show, keep it up, you Scotch kid.
Why, thank you, kind sir. Thank you.
Yes,
indeed.
thank you very much. Now, it says here that it's being used in numerous applications for voice and text. The gap between human intelligence and AI seems to be diminishing at a rapid rate, and it does, but it's not the same. So it's good at specific tasks, but not the artificial general intelligence that we think of. So what's the definition? The definition is the ability of a machine to perform any task that a human can. That's artificial general intelligence. Now, although the aforementioned applications highlight the ability of AI to perform tasks with greater efficiency than humans, they're not generally intelligent. They're exceedingly good at doing one single thing and have zero capability of doing anything else. So you don't have that all around encompassing intelligence. You know? And it's only because we have limited, see, we have created these machines. And, quite frankly, Kev, at this point, we've created them with limited intelligence, meaning that they haven't exceeded the creator's capability, us being the creator of this artificial intelligence, But how long do you foresee it until this happens, Kev? What do you think?
I think it's inevitable that at some point it's going to happen. Again, what way does it go, though? I'm on the fence. I like to look to the more optimistic kind of side. There we go, on our little super chat. Thank you, DJ.
Maybe a hive would be the super duper version.
Maybe.
And I would say maybe you can't quite put a time frame on it, because I think by now we've probably got the technology, we've got the computing power, and with that deep learning kind of system,
Like
I think we maybe I think we
together.
might only be maybe one algorithm, if you could put it that way, but one algorithm away, a game-changing algorithm, maybe, Joe, that takes what we have now and totally rewrites the face of things. We've seen how the AI is.
It's one algorithm, or is it a conjunction of algorithms working in tandem? What do you think?
Well, you see, that one algorithm then will have the ability to set up and create what it calls agents.
Right.
And those agents will be able to go out like virtual copies of it and do the very specific tasks that an arrow AI would do. And all of that information going back to that, if you like to think of it like the hive mind, all of it going to that queen bee in the middle, the artificial general intelligence that can access anything instantly from any of these little agents that it's put out there around all the systems and the sensors and the Internet of Things. And again, this is why the 5G is imperative from a technological standpoint, because you don't need, there can be no lag time, Joe. You need all this to be getting back instantaneously, as fast as you can anyway, for it to really...
Absolutely. And have the throughput with good signal. That's why they're using this in such a tight waveform. It says here, how far are we from artificial general intelligence? And it says, although it might be theoretically possible to replicate the functions of the brain, it's not practical as of now. Thus, capability-wise, we are leaps and bounds away from achieving artificial general intelligence. However, time-wise, the rapid rate at which AI is developing new capabilities means that we might be close to the inflection point when the AI research community surprises us with the development of artificial general intelligence. And experts have predicted the development of artificial intelligence to be achieved as early as 2030.
Funny that,
I,
eh? Right at the time of Agenda 2030 and things.
yeah, a survey of AI experts recently predicted the expected emergence of AGI, or artificial general intelligence, or the singularity, by 2060. Now, that's pretty far off in the future.
And that ties in with what Geordie said. He wasn't the most confident at all when I spoke to him about this. I was thinking maybe 75% down the line when I first kind of asked him. Like getting close to AGI, but no. And I know people will say, well, but he lied, Kev, he lied. Well, I'm telling you, he felt genuine to me. And it looked like this is, and one of his tweets was, AI is really hard. And that was the tweet. That was it. And that wasn't that long ago. So, I mean, it's not simple what they're working on here, folks. I don't know how
No.
close it is, but I do know it's coming, right? Everyone sees that. You don't have to be some prophet to see this coming.
Yeah, I just wonder if people are getting too far ahead of themselves with regard to AGI, which is what I think a lot of people have in their head when they think of AI.
That's why I spent a long time and people were getting pissed off with it, where I was really consciously defining, the difference between strong and weak and the different forms of AI. Because the ones that we're getting now, the specific ones, like that cancer one, Joe. I mean, look at
Yeah.
that. That's spotting cancer, like skin cancer, melanomas, and things, 6 months ahead of the human equivalent.
Right.
6 months in the time of like cancer, that's a long time, Joe. That's the kind of time that can save lives, you know?
Yeah.
So that
No, absolutely.
the things that can improve, the things that could open up to us, new textiles, new chemicals, new compounds, things we've never thought of. It's going to recognize, well, there's something there. Look at the data. It's been staring you in the face. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go.
Yeah, because it can take its agents, design them for individual tasks, have them fan out everywhere, and then you start the quantum computer aspect of things too, where you have that vast computing power. I mean, yeah, you can't even
Think
compare.
of all the radio telescopes around the world, all of the information they've been receiving 24/7 for all the years they've been doing this. There's
Yeah,
absolutely no physical way that all of that data has been mined very, very exactly. And
right.
I've said this to Brendan, I've said it to Brian Keating, that they fall over themselves with excitement as to what the AI might find when it looks at this kind of stuff, Joe.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, you could have an individual algorithm that does just that. I mean, I think we have that technology now where you could have a deep learning type of
And it's
situation
just an
where,
equation. Everyone
yeah,
falls over themselves when they hear algorithm. It's just an equation. That's
yeah,
all it is.
yeah. Isn't it interesting how all
Brilliant.
of that's math?
Yep. And
Oh,
isn't it like uh it was almost like the running of the sheeple on a different level at the weekend, Joe, when Fortnite went down. Did you see the reaction of millions of people around the world when they couldn't get into their favorite cartoon game where they can hit people with rubber hammers and things?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It is unbelievable how much people have become dependent on these technologies. And um, you could say the same thing about the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century and say, wow, when people got addicted to the advancements in farming technology or refrigerated food and
But has any of that had just the impact that the technology today is having?
no,
I don't
not
think so.
not on society,
Yeah.
not on the social, the way we interact with each other.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is that at its core, it is redefining how we communicate. And we've communicated one way basically since the beginning of time. Now all of a sudden that changes, and I just wonder if there is consequences to that. And maybe some of those consequences we're starting to see, you know, um, manifest in the issues we see rising in society, where you have a massive loss of attention span. People just can't pay attention anymore for any extended period of time because they're so used to getting what they want instantly.
Yep.
They they don't have to wait anymore. It'd be one thing if I mean, anything you want is basically at your fingertips. Anything you want to watch, if you want to be informed, boom, it's right there. It's right there instantly. So, could you imagine if people had to wait for information? Just they lose their minds.
They did at the weekend. Fortnite derangement syndrome, I called it.
It's unbelievable.
First
We're out
thing
of time.
Kevin, yeah, first thing my son said to me today, it's back up, Dad. Fortnite's back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, folks, it was fantiddlyastic to be with you tonight, and Uncle Kev, and we'll be back again Thursday. Hot diggity damn.
Drop the
So-
Uncle Kev. That sounds so creepy.
It is. And remember, wherever you are, make it TFR.
And Denny, touch that dial. Yes, there we go, folks.
Yes, there we go.
Yes, so I want to thank everyone for joining us on this very impromptu live stream. And Joe, thank you
Yeah.
for the invite to your humble abode. Looks just like my own live stream here. Oh, wait a
It
minute.
sure does. I'm so glad I was able to bring a little color to your live stream.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Yes.
So Thursday night, then, shall we do this again?
I would definitely be up for that on Thursday night, sir. Yes.
Very good.
And a big shout out to all our new members today. We only
Yes, I
need
can't thank you
10.
enough.
We only need 10 new members, Joe. Remember when it was 25? We're
10
almost there.
more, and then what are we doing? We've got the traffic cone,
We've got the traffic cone. I think we need the hairy hands.
the hairy hands.
Although at some point, Charlie Robinson's baldy head is also on the agenda.
Can we deal with the shine from that bald head?
I think we need the glazed donut in there.
Glazed donut is good as well.
So I'll be back tomorrow, folks, on the Safe Space live stream. Sorry I had to cut it short today, but as you've seen, I had my little nephew in, looking as cute as ever. Don't let looks deceive you, folks. He's a monster, okay? So I had to rush off early, but I hope you enjoyed the stories about what women are doing with the toothpaste. I'm not getting into that again. There was the Tokyo knicker sniffer as well. And just, yeah, Joe, the usual kind of fare that goes down on the KBS afternoon stream. Yes, indeed. So until tomorrow, folks, I am going to love you, leave you, and play you at least 30 seconds of my great music. Catch you all tomorrow, folks.